This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Welcome back, folks, to Saturday Morning Mysteries. We are your hosts. I'm Grace. That's Alexis.
I'm Alexis.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. I was just so excited to introduce you. And I'm just so excited that people are here and listening or watching or whatever. I just got out ahead of myself.
Just the excitement. I love it. I love it. Get ahead of yourself, girl.
I just like talking about true crime and cartoons. And that's what we're here to do. Yet again, another week.
How could you not be excited to be joining us for such an occasion?
Right? Yet another tale of Scooby and the gang, but this time from you, Alexis.
From me, another tale from the crypt of the world of Scooby-Doo and Mystery Incorporated. I wish I had time to make some weird, ethereal, creepy, organ type of music playing in the background of me saying that. I doubt that I'll have time before we actually finish editing this video, but if I do, enjoy that music in the background. Otherwise, just imagine some random, very creepy music as I introduce this tale from the crypt of Mystery Inc.
Wow. Which also, this part will be awkward if we already did it. And I mean, people are now listening and they were like, we already fucking heard the music that you put in.
Have the music. What are they talking about? This music sounds good. Are they going to change it?
I'm not going to cut this out either.
No, please don't. This is our intro. This is our friendly banter that gets the audience enthused about what we are soon going to say. Look at me breaking the fourth wall.
Whoa.
Although I guess when you're podcasting, I mean, it's inherently breaking the fourth wall, breaking the fourth sound barrier.
The speed of light. We're breaking the speed of light.
Oh my God.
We've done it. My God, we've done it.
Anyway, so today I'm going to be recapping the tale from Scooby-Doo Show Season 1, Episode 2, entitled The Fiesta Host is an Aztec Ghost. And now this originally aired, yes, Aztec. So we're going to take a little stroll through history. Okay. We're going to take a stroll outside of America, outside of what may or may not be Coolsville. We're actually going to travel to Mexico today while the gang is on vacation, actually. And it's quite an exciting episode. I'm very, very excited to get into it. But before I go there, I will add that this episode originally aired, again, episode 2 of season 1 of the Scooby-Doo Show in 1976. I actually wrote it down this time. September 1976 on ABC. So a little clarification from my last episode. I was saying that came out in the late 70s. I was a couple years off. It was 76, not 79, because today we're going to talk about a number of strange events that plague the town of Cinco, Mexico. Cinco, 5, Mexico, just as the residents there prepared for their annual Fiesta celebration, which was, as it did every year, expected to attract tourists from around the entire country and likewise around the world. But just before the residents started setting up for this celebration, eyewitnesses reportedly saw a giant ghost of the ancient Aztec King Katazuma lurking beyond the fog just outside of the town. Now, I'm going to pause right here. The Aztec King Katazuma, I'm going to assume, is the Scooby-Doo universe's version of the ancient Aztec king Moctezuma, or perhaps Moctezuma 2. We're going to act like he's based on Moctezuma 1, just for the purposes of this episode.
God, these
writers, it's like
amazing.
they remember 1 or 2 days of their high school history class. And they're like, I think we learned about some sort of Zuma something. And so let's Katazuma. We'll name him that.
I love it. Boom. Good for them.
Next big villain. He's going to knock the crap out of these kids. Anyway, so I felt that was important to kind of disclaim at the outset, because I will be going into a little bit of Aztec history as we walk through this episode. I don't want to offend anyone, because I am just repeating the things that the humble writers, the wise and in some ways living in the times that they lived in, writers of Scooby-Doo, presented these historical facts to us. So again, we will say that for all intents and purposes, Katazuma is based off of Moctezuma I, the ancient Aztec king.
Can I ask a quick question?
Please do.
Just like an overarching take on this episode, because as soon as you said they went to Mexico, and this is in the 70s, like how no longer, how like sensitive are they about the depiction of this tale?
There is definitely, so all right, let me back up.
I'm so sorry. As soon as you're like, they go to Mexico, I was like,
no,
oh,
this is good. I'm glad I'm glad you're asking this. And honestly, these are conversations we should probably have with like a lot of the episodes, because yes, the show came out in the 60s and 70s, early 80s. America was very different at that time. It's not much better now, but it was somehow even worse back then in some ways, at least. Yes, exactly. Not as culturally sensitive, we'll say. And there definitely is, you get a little bit of both sides here. You get the cultural insensitivity, but you also get the sense of they're aware that white colonizers come in and take their beautiful artifacts and whatnot, and then take them to other countries and put them in museums. But to bring it back to your initial question, yes, there are definitely some offensive aspects of the way that the characters are depicted or characterized in this episode, but they also try to keep their eye towards what the true crime in a lot of these areas is when it comes to globalization and modernizing economies. So we'll touch on it. I'll get into it, and I'll try to point out when things are a little awkward or culturally insensitive. So we have the townspeople of Cinco, Mexico, preparing for their annual worldwide renowned Fiesta celebration. But just before the celebration begins, locals are scared to see the giant ghost of the ancient Aztec King Katazuma lurking beyond the fog just outside of the town. And now Katazuma, this giant ghost, he is allegedly standing at about 50 feet tall. He's got gray, very, very tall. That's several stories right there. He's got gray skin, but he's also wearing a blue Aztec mask, I suppose. Again, starting with the cultural, what's the word
depiction?
Yeah, a little bit early here. Yeah, I'm not sure if, when you watch it, I'm not sure if that's really what Aztec masks look like, but nonetheless, it's what they describe as a blue Aztec mask. Very bright red eyes and this terrible, deep, bellowing laugh that just travels beyond over the countryside. And so these memories, these images, they've been kind of haunting the townspeople of Cinco for days now. And some people even reported seeing a stone statue that was a statue of an ancient god. They don't quite say which one. I guess maybe the reports were all different as to which god it was, but the stone statue in the middle of the night is moving about the town plaza. So people are freaking out, saying there's a 50-foot tall ghost. There's a stone statue that's moving around the plaza on its own. And yet still others claim that they saw a haunted barge or a phantom barge, such as, like a ship, a cargo ship, carrying ancient gods along a nearby river and then disappearing into the fog of the night on that river in front of their very eyes. So believing that there is a lot, and believing that these various hauntings are the result of some sort of ancient Aztec curse that's been released on the town of Cinco, a lot of the locals and the visitors just flee the area. And it isn't until a group of young sleuths and their Great Dane, of course, arrived in town, eager to enjoy the annual Fiesta celebration, that the explanation for these mysterious hauntings would be turned on its head. So much to the surprise of the sleuths and the locals, a flagrant artifact heist would be uncovered. But before we get back to the Fiesta celebration and where our humble protagonists, Mystery Inc., come in, we have to begin our story with the ancient Aztec king himself, Katazuma.
Yes.
Let's get into
Mystery. Go.
History.
History and mystery.
Mystery. So, having been elected to power in the early 1400s, I believe we'll say it was about 1440 or so, Katazuma's reign was noted for solidifying alliances among neighboring states, nation states to be exact, and also adopting aqueduct pipe systems throughout his country. Who knew? He also was known for maintaining peace within his own kingdom and every now and again offering human sacrifices of prisoners to the ancient gods. But unfortunately, after the positive social and economic policies ushered in during his reign, Katazuma did face a lot of different natural disasters that kind of plagued his kingdom. And so in his final years, there was a widespread famine that ravaged his land due to the result of droughts and frosts that lasted for 4 or 5 years based on some historical counts. And this led to a major decline in population, that and the human sacrifices, that is.
Those did not slow down.
So due to this drought, this frost, this decline in population, King Katazuma's period of peace apparently came to an end. But when he died, he did have a few remaining humble servants, and they did in fact construct a tomb for him that was in a massive pyramid in order to honor his memory. And so that region where Katazuma ruled is obviously now known as the modern day town of Cinco, Mexico, at least in the Scooby-Doo universe. I'm going to assume it's somewhere outside of Mexico City, though. And due to this rich history with King Katazuma, Cinco became a hotspot for academics and researchers around the world. And they would practically flock to the area to learn more about the culture and the ways of life of the ancient Aztecs. And so one of the many researchers who found his way to the town was a man by the name of Professor Stonehack. The Professor Stonehack. What did I say last time? It's like, hey, this guy's holding a stone and he's hacking at it.
Stonehack.
Let's name him Stonehack. So again, the Professor Stonehack, he has visited the city of Cinco. He's a British archaeologist, right? They don't say where he teaches or works. So we're just going to assume maybe, if someone's footing the bill for him to go to Mexico multiple times throughout the year, maybe it's Oxford, we'll say. Anyway, he decides to visit the town of Cinco with his lovely wife, Helena. And they decide that they are going to go there essentially to do what a lot of other researchers do, which is studying the art of the ancient Aztecs. They're just like head to toe, khakied out, got like their explorer gear on with all the pockets and everything. The professor, I believe he's got kind of like a reddish brown hair and like a thin mustache. And he honestly has like a very high pitched nasally British accent. So it's like not the cool, like intelligent, like smoking a pipe, drinking scotch or brandy type of British. It's like I am a professor and I am going to. Yeah, exactly.
That's why Cambridge sent him over there to be like, get out of the department.
Get out of here.
Go somewhere else.
Just go to Mexico. Get out of we can't listen to you anymore. And his wife, Helena, again, she is also decked out like head to toe in khaki explorer gear. She's got darker brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. These two look like they mean business. They're ready to go out, explore, find and appropriate whatever artifacts they can. All right. So during this excursion to Cinco, they decide to stay at a local resort owned by a man named Senor Juan Martinez. And Juan Martinez, he's a very big guy. He's not fat, but he's just like super tall. Like when you see him standing by other people, he's constantly like towering over them as he talks to them. He's got this nice, like, kind of like sexy, deep voice, like what you imagine a Spanish man talking, or I guess a Mexican man. Exactly, literally the opposite, and like this thick mustache. Oh, I might have to stay here. you go back to Cambridge, Professor.
With your squeaky voice.
Yeah, I know where I want to be.
Yes.
They season their food a little bit better here too. I need that spice.
Actual spice, not just pepper. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God,
England.
it's a world of flavor. Yeah, no offense. Your fish and chips are great, but
so good.
Anything else though? No. So Juan Martinez, he too, I guess khaki is the favorite color of people in this episode because he is also, if I recall, wearing a khaki suit, kind of with like this pastel shirt and the top couple buttons open. Ooh, so,
very like Obama beige suit moment.
Yeah, honestly, like a Mexican version who's just like super freaking tall.
Stunning.
And like, yeah, and like very stunning, to be totally fair. But aside from his great looks or his nice, maybe perhaps stereotypical 70s Mexican businessman looks, he actually Juan Martinez is an honest businessman. And he's achieved great success as the owner of this high-end resort in this popular tourist town. Because again, in addition to being known as the former stronghold of the Aztec Empire's Triple Alliance, the town was also currently renowned for its annual fiesta, most importantly. And so each year, Juan would prepare heavily for this fiesta in great anticipation of all of the money that he would bring in from the tourists and the people flocking to the area. But of course, while the stone hacks were here in Cinco enjoying their adventures, buying and collecting locally made art pieces and whatnot, they had no intention of actually engaging in the fiesta celebration. They're like, leave that for the kids. We're here for the research.
Okay.
And they then decided that a more hands-on expedition of the Aztec pyramids would yield a more prosperous research trip. So they decide to go on a little venture into the jungle. And when they do, they happen upon the tomb of the ancient King Katazuma, who we, of course, introduced earlier, who in some ways had a lot of progressive social changes that he brought to his kingdom, but in other ways was a very
human sacrifice.
Brutal, exactly, sacrificing son of a something. So while exploring this great pyramid and Katazuma's tomb, the professor and his wife came across an inscription on an entryway that unfortunately bore a warning that anyone who dared enter would release the ghost of the ancient king. And so I'm not sure if the professor knew at the time what that inscription meant or could be translated to, i.e., that you're going to unleash a curse if you open this door underneath this inscription. But the professor was very soon about to find out. Right after looking at the inscription and noticing that there's a door underneath it, the professor, of course, slowly opens that door, and big freaking surprise, the giant ghost of Katazuma immediately appears in the entryway to this tomb, screaming with his bellowing deep voice who is invading his sacred tomb. And so the stone hack, and then that's why I say if he didn't know before reopening the door what it meant, he sure as hell knows now. So according to the stone hacks, at that point, Katazuma ordered the couple to be gone. He's a giant ghost figure saying, leave here, what are you doing? Or else if you don't leave, I'm going to lay revenge on you with a curse that's going to follow and destroy anyone who profanes this pyramid. So naturally frightened, the couple ran away as the giant god released an evil laugh that echoed down the hallways of his tomb. And so, of course, they had nowhere else to go but back to the hotel. And they return there, but they're still not quite ready to quit their exploration or the professor's overall research trip. They're clearly shaken, according to their account, but they're like, we just don't know if we can leave quite yet. So they let a few days go by while they're still trying to weigh these decisions. And locals, they notice, actually start fleeing amid these reported sightings of a giant ghost in the countryside. And so as they're starting to hear these reports, they're like, okay, maybe the benefits of studying the local history are not as great as the burden of unleashing a curse upon the town. Maybe, just maybe. So it's at this point that we then see our mostly fearless protagonists, Mystery Inc. Now they're driving, here they come into the story. And so they're driving down this dirt road, probably a highway that leads them directly into the town of Cinco, Mexico.
Are they in the mystery van?
They are, of course, in the mystery machine.
So they drove
themselves
from some Coolsville, somewhere in USA, without their parents as teenagers. They were like, potentially,
let's go road trip.
I guess maybe if they are in Texas, they just hopped. It's a quick across the border.
I guess it's still a different country though.
They have passports.
And if it's really like where the Aztec Empire was, I mean, I think that was more like central Mexico.
Yes, it's not
so,
close.
So it's not like they're going to Tijuana
from San
or
Diego.
to like Juarez, also because they would be probably in more danger in those cities than going all the way to Mexico City. But they were going like all the way into the middle of the country, not just like right over the border. So again, same question we ask every week.
Where are their parents?
Where are their parents? Are they in high school? What is happening?
Where's the supervision? Okay, great. I'm glad that was established. Please go on.
And so they're in the mystery machine driving down this dirt road into Cinco, Mexico. And they're just talking with each other, very excited to be visiting this town for the annual Fiesta, saying how much fun they're going to have. They're happy to be on vacation, and they've heard from so many people how wonderful this annual Fiesta truly is. But in the middle of their excitement, they literally hit a bump in the road and have to stop the van. And so they all get out of the van to inspect what it was that they ran over, and they realize that it's actually a giant ditch. And they look around at the ditch and say, oh my gosh, this thing has to be like 15 feet long. And Shaggy looks a little bit closer at it and is like, not only is it 15 feet long, but I think it's also shaped like a foot. And Fred's like, oh, Shaggy, you're crazy. It can't be a foot because anything that would leave a footprint this big would have to be like 50 feet tall. Oh, so funny that, Fred automatically, he's got really good math calculating skills or something, because that's literally the exact height that people are saying the giant ghost of Katazuma is. So, hey, great. Way to go, Freddie. But anyway, so Fred denies that, him. He's not one to typically believe in the supernatural. They confirm or just like double check that the axles on the mystery machine are safe to drive on, get back in the car, drive away, kind of still questioning what could have left a ditch that big, but pretty much dismissing it in favor of preparing for this awesome party that they're about to go to. And so when they arrive to the town of Cinco, much to their surprise, the town is completely deserted. It's getting laid out. Like, I feel like the sun was just starting to fall, and they're in this like deserted town in this foreign country, not knowing exactly where they're supposed to go. Like, they don't know really where their hotel is. They're like, oh my God, we need to find someone for directions. And genius Daphne is like, well, does anyone speak Spanish? Like, okay. At this
they didn't ask before they went on this trip.
They didn't ask before they went on the trip if anyone in that group knew Spanish. They leave their homes. We don't know who their parents are, where their parents are, not apparently knowing the language of the country they're going to, driving by themselves, teenagers, middle of this foreign country anyway, and they realize that they don't even have the basic conversational Spanish skills to ask where their hotel is.
And they don't know where their hotel is.
Not a way to start your vacation if you are a teen, if you're anyone really, doesn't matter if you're a teenager or
76, not going well.
Right. Oh God. What a year for spring break. Sorry. Anyway. So they get to the plaza, and they're looking around for the directions to their hotel. And after, Daphne's like, does anyone here know Spanish? They all kind of agree that Shaggy should be the one to go out and talk to someone. Let me back up. Sorry. They think that they see someone standing in the plaza over yonder. And they're like, okay, let's go ask him for directions because we don't know where the fuck we are. And they're trying to figure out, okay, who speaks Spanish? What do we do? They all decide that Shaggy should be the one to go talk to this guy, because in their conversation of who has the best Spanish among them, Shaggy says, sure, I know plenty of words and phrases.
Oh no, it's all food, huh?
Spoiler alert. Yes. Trigger warning. Sorry, but the many phrases and words that he offers up are tacos and burritos and enchiladas and whatnot. So I totally can go talk to this guy. And Fred kind of cuts him off like, Shaggy, will you cut it out and just go? So Shaggy and, of course, Scooby, because he has to join him, they get out of the van to go talk to this man that they think they see across the plaza. But when they get out of the van and approach him, they actually realize that it's a stone statue of an Aztec god. And when they get there, they're like, well, what the hell, Daphne? What were you seeing? That's clearly a statue. But then they're also like, wait, we didn't realize it was a statue until we got this close to it. That's kind of embarrassing. They were all probably super high or something.
Yep, for sure.
Matter. And so they go back to the car, they slowly make their way back. And of course, like right after they get back in the car, the gang actually finds the hotel. So they get out.
Great.
And they start unpacking their luggage, but the hotel is totally empty, as is the rest of the town. And as the entire group makes their way into the hotel with their luggage, Scooby is the last one of the 5 into the lobby. And when he enters the lobby, he seems like very shaken, like visibly frightened. And the gang's like, Scooby, what's wrong? Why are you like running in here all scared? And Scooby says he's just seen a ghost. So the gang is like, oh my God, like, well, you're a dog, so we can't really like imagine what it is you saw, but we believe you. There must be something out there. Like, calm down though. We can't be causing a scene here. We just arrived.
Yep.
Chill out. And just as Scooby is freaking out and the gang's trying to calm him down, in walks Senor Juan Martinez. So we learn that the gang is staying at this same hotel where the Stone Hacks are, and of course the hotel that Juan Martinez owns. When he walks into the room, Vilma walks up to him, introduces herself and the gang, I suppose, and says, hey, we're here for the Fiesta. And Senor Martinez sadly informs Vilma in response, like, well, that's too bad. There ain't going to be a Fiesta this year. Yep. And then he starts to tell them about the hauntings of the giant ghost of Katazuma. Saying that is the reason why there won't be a Fiesta. Everyone's fled to town. No one wants to stay to prep for the Fiesta, and no one definitely wants to stay to party for the Fiesta. So Martinez goes on to claim that he himself even saw this ghost, and he describes it to the teens so that they now have some sort of visual understanding of what's going on. And then he actually also tells them about this phantom barge business too, saying that he himself has witnessed it disappear on the river in the middle of the night. So it's at this point, after going through all of these weird hauntings, that Fred is like, okay, gang, we got to solve this mystery. We're staying. Honestly, yes, Fred and the gang do love solving mysteries for sure, but I'm pretty sure he wanted to stay because he's like, we did not just drive all of this way for our party to be canceled. If there is any way that we can get this party back on, we are freaking getting this party back on.
Spring break 1976, and it will go down in history, baby.
We have to get our yearbook autographs and everything, our pictures, and show off to our friends that we were
Memories
here.
to last a lifetime.
So yes, after hearing the very detailed accountings of Juan Martinez, Fred is like, all right, gang, we're staying. We're solving this mystery. So they start to settle into their hotel accommodations, and Shaggy and Scooby are obviously sharing a room. Let me add, just for the naughty-minded adults watching or listening, Daphne and Velma had their own room. Fred had his own separate room. Now, why Fred and Shaggy
couldn't just share a room?
I don't know.
Unclear.
Shaggy and Scooby, while they're in their room getting things unpacked and trying to like settle in a bit, they hear this weird like banging outside of their door. And they're like, oh my God, who is it? Maybe it's someone from the gang. Maybe it's Martinez. I don't know. Either way, Scooby, get the door. He opens it up. It's the freaking stone statue that they saw when they were asking for directions.
Fully like in the hotel?
In the hotel.
This isn't like a motel front door situation.
No, this is like a nice
took an elevator.
Yeah, he at least went upstairs. I don't know if there was an elevator, but they were definitely not on the first floor. So we had to you go inside and up. It's not like exactly motel or whatever where the door is out, there's like the outdoor breezeway, hallway, whatever. No. This is like a full-on resort where you go in, there's a lobby, you go through hallways to get to a staircase or elevator. Yeah. Stone statue made its way all the way up. All the way up. And not only was it just there, it was angrily there, like waving its arms in the air, growling at them, like clearly trying to chase them down. So it runs into their room and they're able to maneuver around it and exiting their hotel room. And they find themselves, I believe, back in the lobby or somewhere downstairs while they're trying to run away and escape the statue. And as they're rushing through the halls, they run into a couple who is wearing Aztec masks, hurriedly rushing down the resort hallways. And we find out after they briefly scare Scooby and Shaggy from their masks that it's actually Professor and Helena Stonehack. Yeah, so now the gang is introduced to, like, I believe the only other hotel guests in the area. And the rest of the gang joins them downstairs because they hear all of this commotion, like, oh my God, what are Shaggy and Scooby running from? What's going on? And so they run out of their rooms and go down there, and they're like, oh, okay. Who are these other random people?
Do they explain why they were wearing the masks?
They do in a minute. I'll get to it. So they get down there, the rest of the gang gets down there and asks Shaggy and Scooby what's going on. And Shaggy is like, oh my God, we were just being chased by an Aztec statue. And as always, the gang immediately believes them, like, wow, a statue is chasing you, crazy.
Of course.
And the Stonehacks, overhearing this, they warn the gang that, like, oh yeah, a lot of like weird things have been happening in this hotel ever since we got here. And it's at this point that they actually kind of fess up, and they're like, yeah, we kind of think we actually angered the great god Katazuma, and I think that we unleashed a curse upon the entire area. Sorry. Bad. And they talk to the teens and tell them about their exploration into the tomb. And they claim that the ancient king had been roaming the countryside ever since they went on that exploration, terrifying the locals and thus canceling the fiesta. So Helena reveals that the stress of all of this, again, as I said earlier, they had to take a few days to kind of like take a beat, think about the consequences of their actions.
Enjoy the resort amenities.
Exactly. You know, maybe if they come across a few more artifacts while they're there, they can collect them and try to forget the mysterious cursing and haunting. But nonetheless, all of the stress of the hauntings and the curses and knowing that it was 100,000% their fault has actually taken a toll on them, and they've decided to pack their bags and head back home in their exploration early. So she tells the gang that they plan to take the next river, or the first riverboat, out the next morning. And the Professor Stonehack, the professor who, for some reason, so before he was just wearing a mask and like his normal clothes, now he's got a fedora on that was not on in the previous like scenes. So again, animation errors, but whatever. A little shoddy animation production there, but whatever. So Professor Stonehack, after his wife says that they are planning on taking out the next riverboat, he's like, we really hope that you kids will be there too. If you're wise, you'll join us because it's not safe to be here anymore.
Ominous.
So as they're still talking, the kids notice these Aztec masks that they're holding, the ones that they had on their faces when Shaggy and Scooby ran into them. And so noticing that the kids are looking at them kind of crookedly, the Stonehacks are like, oh, no, don't worry about these. These are just inexpensive native headdresses we're taking home as souvenirs. I'm an archaeologist. I research this stuff. Don't mind us.
It's chill.
And to even try to like prove their point that they're good, innocent people, they actually hold the masks up for the gang to see. Like, look at how nice. See, they're just handmade, souvenirs. Nothing crazy. But as they do that, like jewels begin twinkling under the hotel lobby lights. So Velma's like, "Are you sure these jewels aren't real?" And Helena's like, "No. It's just costume jewelry, my darling. It's fine. It's fine. They're inexpensive. We're not doing anything terrible here."
This isn't
and so at that point, yeah, right. And your few red flags being raised here. But then after that, after Vilma kind of corners them with that logic, they are like, all right, well, we got to go. So they like grab their things and like rush back to their hotel room. And, as they rush away, they kind of turn back to the kids and say, we hope to see you tomorrow morning for your own safety.
Okay.
So the gang is now wondering whether there may be some sort of connection between the ghost/curse of Katazuma and this stone statue that's been terrorizing Shaggy and Scooby. And as they go back to one of their hotel rooms, they're all trying to talk through what could possibly be going on. And Daphne, clearly not interested in the conversation, is instead peering out the hotel window, wondering what life could be if the fiesta were just happening.
I could be the star of the whole party. Those jewels could be mine.
That mask would look so good on my beautiful
Next time
purple.
I'll take Father's private jet down. This
And then
crappy
this way I'll
van.
never have to worry about this crappy van again. Yes.
God, Daphne's fucking over it.
But thankfully she was over it, because as she's looking out of the window, she points out that she sees Professor Stonehack standing outside, kind of walking about the resort grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And as she points at him, just as she points at him, this heavy rumbling, like maybe like a 3 or 4 Richter scale earthquake type level, not like a full on, like, holy crap, the building's falling, but this slight rumbling overtakes the area. And as they're looking outside, they notice Professor Stonehack, because he's out there like, oh my God, what's happening? He stops dead in his tracks. And the professor looks up, and this swath of fog moves in towards him, and he just lets out this loud, oh no, in his annoying, high-pitched, really British accent. And as he's screaming and this swath of fog is moving across the screen over him, he then disappears.
Oh
with
no.
nothing but the giant figure of Katazuma's ghost in its place.
Oh no.
And so the ghost is like laughing evilly into the fog or into the night as the fog dissipates. And then as the fog goes away, he just kind of disappears into the moonlight. And
the giant Katazuma
the giant ghost does. Yeah, the professor's already disappeared. So once Katazuma appeared, the professor was gone. So they're like, oh shit, he just like took the professor's place. I don't know.
Great.
So the gang runs out there fearfully wondering what in the hell just happened.
Yeah.
Like, did y'all just see that?
Yeah. Daphne just make this up.
No, thank God she pointed out though, and that they were all looking. But when they go down there to investigate what happened, they notice another giant footprint right in the spot where the professor disappeared. So Shaggy is like totally vindicated at this point.
He's like,
I told you so, Fred. I told you. It's a giant. Dang it. Why does no one ever believe me?
Never believe me.
Never. And so they're at this point like, okay, this legend and curse of Katazuma is legit. Like something's up. Like at this point, even Fred and Vilma, like they may not be 100% on board, but they're like, yeah, something. I mean,
at the very least, they just witnessed like a kidnapping.
Yeah,
like
if nothing else.
They just witnessed, some type of missing person. There is a missing person. There's like a crime situation happening.
A crime has just occurred.
Yeah, that they saw. So
yes. So they are naturally a bit shaken.
Yeah.
Naturally, again, in a foreign country where they do not speak the language. Besides the offensive words of taco burrito.
Yes, of Shaggy.
All of that. So after kind of going out and investigating the grounds where the professor disappeared, Velma's like, all right, Katazuma is clearly at the middle or at the center of this mystery. So we need to go visit his tomb and his ancient pyramid.
Great.
To look for clues. Great. Exactly. Safe. Totally fine. Don't worry about getting a tourist agency or
any. You already released. There's already like one curse out there. Might as well double down on them. Like, I guess.
Do 5 more. One for each of you. Each one. You unleash a curse.
You unleash. You get a curse, and you get a curse. We all get a curse.
Unleash the curses.
Wow. What a trip.
So they all agree, saying, "You're right. He is the key to the mystery. Let's make our way down there." They go deep into the forest or the jungle, whatever, and they have to rent a boat to go upriver to visit the pyramid. And so this boat rental shop, it's managed by this one older kind of indigenous looking man. He's got palish skin though. Like he looks very old and honestly like ghostly a little bit, and long hair. But he also, he's got like this captain hat on, and he definitely looks like he understands boats. But he's also just like very creepy because as kids walk up there, they like before they can even introduce themselves or like say what they're there for, he's like, you're here to rent a boat to go up a river and see the pyramid and find the ghost of Katazuma, aren't you? So as the kids leave this rental shop, They make their way towards the boat. And like I said before, this guy, he's like creepily grinning at them. And it actually may be because he's sending them to a haunted pyramid, but because he just gave them quite literally the most dangerous looking boat I could ever imagine. It is like this heavily patched up launch. This thing was patched up like a goddamn quilt, Grace. This thing had so many like makeshift patches all on the bottom of the hull. I was
no.
I don't know how deep this river that these kids are on is, but like they really might not make it. This thing
on the bottom is patched up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So some on the side too,
but still,
you can
see, pretty important.
Very important. And okay, good that it was patched up rather than not being patched up.
Yeah,
but this, I don't know what year Flex Seal came out.
It's all just duct tape.
Yeah, it's like duct tape, or he like nailed in these like metal sheets onto it, so there's still like air gaps or whatever in water. It's like, I don't know. Suffice it to say that this launch boat looked very, very unsafe, which is probably the real reason why this boat rental man is giggling, because he's like, they ain't gonna make it.
He's like, I'm gonna stop. He was saving everyone. He's like, I'm gonna stop them from releasing another fucking curse by drowning them.
Exactly. And no one will ever know that they're here because apparently they don't have parents to keep track of them.
Truly.
So it's a win-win situation.
Wow. What a time to be alive for the game.
What a time. 1976, the year of unsafe launch breaks
to remember.
Yeah. And so as they are traveling down this misty river in this very heavily patched up launch, they actually see not over the horizon, but just down the waterway, they see the phantom barge approaching them, coming through the mist. And the barge, oddly enough, is shaped like a dragon with pink and like blue paint trimmings. I didn't get super in depth on my ancient Aztec research. I did a little bit for this, but I'm not sure that they worship dragons. Did they?
Okay, so I don't know specifically about Aztec like religion and stuff, but I do know when it comes to dragons that like one of like the super weird things is that at different points in different civilizations on like different sides of the earth before there was like any form of contact, there were different concepts, and like they found like art of like different dragons, which is where you get like in like I want to say maybe like Chinese dragons are kind of like more snake-like and don't have the big wings. And then like more like, England, UK area, they're like the, what we would think of as like the classic big dragons. And so
guarding
it's like,
the castle.
Yeah. And like, that's like the weird, like, oogie boogie voodoo-y thing with like dragons, where it's like, how did they all come up with flying serpents at different points?
The ancient alien theory. I don't know if you ever watched Ancient Alien.
I'm pretty sure it's like that they saw a comet and they were like, a dragon. Well, we'll call it something else.
The tail of it or something.
Yeah, I think that's probably when it comes from. I don't know well enough. Anyways, there's nothing to do actually with Aztecs. Potentially can neither confirm it or deny it. Let's get really excited about that fun fact that I have.
I'm glad you threw that in there. I'm glad you threw that in, because I was wondering and I was like, I don't really have time to like go into depth to figure out what like mythical creatures they worshipped and all of that. But I was like, I don't think dragons were on that list, but I could totally be wrong. I know that.
Well, there you go.
Mexico City is essentially like on a mountain and like a volcano. So I'm sure that they had issues with like lava and fire way back then. So maybe. But real quick though, I will add though that this boat, it's definitely the painting of it, or the barge, it definitely reminds me of like the Chinese influence of a dragon.
Yeah, probably
not what I would imagine if Central Americans or like Mexicans worship dragons. It's not quite what I would imagine that looking like, but I don't know.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll talk about it more next week.
I can't connect this specifically to Mexico, Aztec, Mayan, South America, like Incas, I don't know exactly where, but like in somewhere of this zone in the Americas, I think, and I'm gonna say it wrong, but I think it was like Quetzalcoatl. It's like Quetzcoatl, and that was like the name of like the dragon, I think.
Oh.
There you go. That's just some fantasy nerd shit for you right there.
My fantasy nerd shit is that in the fictional Godzilla monsterverse, there is the essential like pterodactyl dinosaur Rodan, who actually was born from a volcano. And in the original movies, like way back in the 60s and stuff, I don't know if Rodan was from Mexico, but in the newer movies, like the one that just came out a couple years ago, which is so awesome. I won't get into I love Godzilla movies, but anyway, Rodan, actually the dragon pterodactyl thing, was from Mexico, and he actually arose from like a volcano in Mexico. So I did briefly think of that when I was writing this, like, maybe to some degree, at least like firebirds, they had like, worshipped or something. I don't know.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, I feel satisfied with our information dump with each other here.
Good. We practically have done more for Aztec culture here in this conversation than any researcher ever has.
Yes. No. Great. Definitely.
But this is good. Glad we hashed this out a little bit.
Me too.
We both learned something, I think, dragons. Whether it was factual or fictional. Go there. So this barge is shaped like a dragon if the Aztecs were to worship dragons in any way. And the kids again notice it approaching through the fog from the opposite side of the river as they're making their way down to see this pyramid. And the barge, though, as they're approaching it, as they were told it would happen by Juan Martinez, it suddenly disappears. It disappears actually underneath a bridge that the kids and the barge were each getting ready to cross underneath. But the kids come out of one side and they look back and they see that the barge has not come out of the other side of that bridge. Spooky. So what happened? And so flabbergasted by this disappearance, they're like, maybe we'll find more answers at the pyramid. I don't know. They just always seem to know how things are tied together without actually having any evidence of how they're tied together. So they're like,
there are no clues so far.
None, not a one. Actually, I don't think there has been a single one. And I'm like maybe halfway through the episode too. But
get on it, kids.
But anyway, so they decide to continue on with their journey to the pyramid, thinking that they'll find more answers about why the barge disappeared into the night, along with the hauntings and the curse of Katazuma. And they dock their boat on a riverbank, on a riverbank, and they head towards the pyramid because they notice a trail of footprints that lead off of the riverbank.
Are they the giant footprints or?
Not the giant ones. These are I should have said these are normal human-sized, human-sized footprints. And so Fred instructs Shaggy and Scooby to follow the trail of footprints while he, Velma, and Daphne keep going in some other way towards the pyramid. I don't know. I feel like the footprints would be the safer way to follow, but whatever. But right before the gang can actually split ways, Velma's like, well, hold on a second, guys. I actually see the pyramid right there. And she points like through some trees. I guess they couldn't see them literally a second before, but Velma's like, they're right there. That's where we have to go. And so as they all kind of like take a closer look, like, yep, that checks out, Daphne notices that there is a glowing light around the pyramid. And then at that same moment, through the deep fog, because everywhere in this area is just super foggy. Apparently, the giant ghost of Katazuma appears directly between where the teens are and the pyramid.
Oh no.
And of course, he's giving his classic warning, telling them to leave the sacred grounds at once. But they also, they haven't even gotten to the pyramid yet. So he's telling them to leave before they've even like fully gotten there. And so they like, they don't hesitate. They take his advice.
Oh, good.
They turn around and run back towards the boat.
Oh, that's actually surprising.
I know, right? But hold on, it's going to change because as they're running back towards the boat, that stone statue is blocking the trail now. Yeah, so they turn around to run back, but the statue is in the way.
Oh no.
And so they're like, oh my God, wait, no, split, everyone run.
Again, scatter.
as per usual, every man for himself. But no, so they all run and kind of turn around, run through the jungle for a little bit, trying to escape the stone statue. And in some way, I don't know how, they circled back around somehow.
Okay.
Because they made their way to the back of the pyramid.
Oh, all right.
And found a secret entryway. Yeah, all five of them grouped back together back there. I don't know how these jungles work. Maybe it's like Blair Witch Project type thing. You lose a map, you're going in circles for days. I don't know. But they ended up back at the pyramid, even though they were just running away from the pyramid.
Yes, but on the other side of it,
on the whatever.
The whole
and
thing.
So when they get to the secret entryway, they make their way into this pyramid, and as they get in, Shaggy's like, my goodness, it's so dark in here. How are we going to find any clues if we can't even see?
Shaggy.
Velma, being like the genius she is, this was like, well, the pyramids were built centuries before electricity, Shaggy, so we're just going to have to deal with it. But hilariously, right, thank you, the law of physics or whatever. But then hilariously, right as she's saying that, Scooby is just like nosing around the room and he flicks on a light switch, actually.
Also,
and so
what?
Now, mostly what? It is funny, but also like, wait, huh? But finally, about halfway into my retelling of this episode, we have our first clue.
Great.
And because Velma's like, what the hell? There should not be electricity running through this place. And not only is there electricity running through this place, but when they turn on the lights, they realize that secret entryway led them straight into a storage room. So there's like all of these crates and barrels and like boxes of things just sitting around them on shelves. So they are totally in this room that doesn't look like it should be in a pyramid, especially an ancient pyramid whatsoever.
Yeah.
And with the modern light switch being a definite clue that like piques all of their interest, they're like, okay, let's split up now. Let's try to like investigate every inch of this pyramid to figure out what's going on. And so they're roaming the corridors of the pyramid, and obviously Velma, Daphne, and Fred split up, go one way, Shag and Scoob go another way. And the first three, Velma, Daphne, and Freddy, as they're roaming, they come across this projector that, I guess I should add, they've made it to the very, very top of the pyramid at this point. So they started at the bottom. Now they're here.
Shaggy and Scooby like always get the top floor situation.
Yeah, I know. Right. Well, yeah. Well, so in this case, it's backwards though. Yeah. Velma, Daphne. Yeah. Sorry. Velma, Daphne, and Fred are on the top floor.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And when they're up there, all good. And when they're up there, they come across a projector, and the projector is sitting on top of a crate, and it's pointed so that it's the light from it, or the image, I guess, that it's projecting will come out of this opening near the top of the pyramid that they're in. So yeah, the group is like, what do the ancient Aztecs need with a projector? So we now have clue number 2.
Yeah, modern tech.
And as they're thinking this, it is kind of huge. So it should not be here, that's for sure. And so as they're questioning this, Fred is like kind of tampering with the projector, seeing like, well, what film is in here, or what are they even using it for? And as he does it, just before he's able to get it turned on and everything, a human-sized ghost of Katazuma appears behind the teens and the projector. And of course, he's repeating his classic threat of imposing the curse of Katazuma upon the gang for the third time. You will be cursed, blah, blah, blah. And so right at that moment, as he starts yelling, as this human-sized ghost starts yelling at the teens, Fred is able to get the projector on, and he turns on the light, and he turns it towards Katazuma and blinds him.
Oh, Freddy!
I know! Clever and or just really good timing at figuring out how to turn the projector on. But either way, whichever one it was, good quick thinking.
Yeah.
And so they turn the projector on, blind the ghost, and it gives them a chance to run away and escape. And so meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby are investigating another corridor of the pyramid, and they come across another clue, a vacuum cleaner. So what is up with all this modern technology in the Aztec pyramid?
Okay.
We're not exactly sure. But as they're investigating and like looking at the vacuum cleaner, they release this strange cloud of fog from the vacuum. And as the fog clears, of course, right in front of them is the stone statue of the ancient Aztec god. So you've got Velma, Daphne, and Freddy being chased upstairs by the human-sized ghost of Katazuma, Shaggy and Scooby being chased through the bottom basement corridors, whatever, by their statue dude. So it's pretty creepy. They're being attacked from all angles here.
Yeah, it's not going well.
And so those two are able to escape just by maneuvering around the statue and I guess their athleticism. And as they escape, they run into the other three who again have just gotten off of the ghost of Katazuma's trail. And so they're all like, okay, we got to catch our breath. We're being chased from this angle. Y'all are being chased from this angle. What is going on? And as they're collecting themselves, they actually hear Katazuma approaching from a nearby corridor or hear like footsteps coming from a nearby corridor. And before the ghost or whoever it was saw them, they real quick find this like little hideout secret room. So they duck into there like, oh no, just go in here real quick. They won't find us. But it's like stone walls and the sounds all bounce off of everything. So Katazuma totally hears that they go to hide in that room.
Great.
And then he actually just traps them in there. So he like shuts the door behind them and I guess blocks it or something.
Oh no, that's scary.
That actually would be terrifying, right? Like getting stuck in like a hidden, hidden trap room or whatever all in an stone, ancient pyramid.
Like, they're gonna run out of like oxygen in there before anyone finds them. Okay, I hate this. Great.
I honestly kind of think that was like, again, we talk about this a lot.
How far would they go?
Are they trying to murder these kids? Because like there is no other result that could possibly whatever. So Katazuma, he's like, we're going to lock these kids in there because they are getting too close to whatever it is that we've got going on in here. And as he does that, he's menacingly laughing and again, confirming that he probably is going to try to kill these kids. He quietly says under his breath, no one will find you in this room ever. So not even, he doesn't like yell it at them to warn them, like, no one's going to find you. He literally whispers to himself. So he's like, I've got these kids, like they're dead.
I don't like this.
I don't like this at all.
I don't like this. Human sacrifice. No.
So the kids obviously are very scared inside of this room. They're searching around like there has to be a way out. We've got to figure out where we are. I'm not sure how they're able to see in there. Like they didn't turn a light on or anything. But as soon as they get a good look at their surroundings, they realize that the room was likely previously filled with Aztec jewels and statues and artifacts of all types. But to Fred's calculation, I believe, he's like, but it looks like almost everything's been taken out of here. Like someone broke in and everything was taken out, everything that they could get their hands on, or like maybe they're still in the process of taking things out. And so Velma, whipping up her prior knowledge of Aztec history that she, for some reason, has not decided to use until this very moment, she begins to translate hieroglyphs or whatever you call them, like stone writings. I'm not sure what you call them for the ancient Aztecs, but nonetheless, she begins translating these things that are like all written along the walls of the room, which also
she doesn't know Spanish.
Hilarious. Exactly. Just like, so you can translate ancient Aztec like hieroglyphs or like symbols, but you can't conversationally in Spanish ask for directions to your
where my hotel is, like
right, like nope, Shaggy, you've got to do it because you know taco and burrito and stuff.
My God.
Meanwhile, let me study this Aztec history that I'm an expert on.
Unhelpful.
Anyway,
Velma,
super unhelpful. So she translates what all of these symbols around the room mean. And she says that the moon goddess's worshippers had a secret entrance to the room. And when the moonlight hit a particular square on the wall of that room, there was like this design on it. I guess like the light of hitting that square would trigger some reaction, which then would open a secret door.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I know, right? It's actually pretty
that.
clever. Not gonna lie. So they're all looking around like, okay, well, where is this hole where the light will come through? And they notice it's at like the very top of the pyramid. So seeing that there is in fact that moonlight though, but also knowing that the moon is not in a position where they would be able to escape anytime soon, they start grabbing whatever like brass or shiny artifacts they can from the room. And they're all like standing in areas trying to like get the light to bounce off and ricochet off. And eventually it works. They're able to get the light to bounce off onto that square. And honestly, kind of seamlessly, this trapdoor, or not trapdoor, the secret exit way, so to speak, opens up and they're able to make their exit and survive essentially what was clearly an attempted murder. So they accomplish this, they exit the pyramid, they escape. But what they see after they escape is the phantom barge, again, docked right along the riverbank. And they notice that it's full of cargo this time. Like it's got boxes and everything, crates, all this stuff has been loaded up on it. So also not sure how long they've been in the pyramid, but clearly long enough for a new cargo load. For the old load to be unloaded and a new load to be put on. But it's not just the cargo load itself and the barge itself that they're surprised about. It's also the fact that they see the human-sized ghost of Katazuma and this statue helping, like hauling crates onto this barge. Just, walking around, moving boxes. Casually. So naturally, Fred and Vilma are like, all right, gang, we got to get on that barge because we got to figure out what's going on. We now know Katazuma isn't the secret to all of this. That barge is the secret to all of this haunting. So naturally, they're able to sneak onto the barge and they hide. As they're sneaking about, they get onto they sneak onto this barge. And they're kind of just like hiding behind crates and like under these tarps and stuff. And they notice that as the barge gets back on the river and starts moving down, they notice that as it approaches that bridge that both of them were going to pass by or pass under earlier this evening, an oarsman on the barge, he uses this pole, I guess it's maybe like a staff that he's using to like move, like on gondola style, move the barge through the water, picks his staff up and he just pokes it to this like trigger or this lever that triggers a wall in the bridge abutment to open up. And of course, this lever is shaped like a cattail. Like, because there are just cattails like all in the rivers of like Mexico, central Mexico or whatever. Amazing. Maybe there are, I don't know. But also like if a cattail was the lever, like how do you know it's that cattail and not that cattail? Like I don't think that cattails grow like individually. No. Yeah, like they always sprout like and in what mass. If someone
like a little fish hits it? Like
bridge like wall and the bridge abutment just opens and like all of their secret enterprise on the inside is just exposed or open to the world. All these fish fly in there or swim in there or fly. I don't know. Or fly, maybe. This is weird. Crazy shit's happening.
Wait, and so is this oarsman, does it look like one of the ghost gods? Does it look like the statue?
So it's not Katazuma or the statue, but I think he's like one of the other like ancient gods.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So again, what is like 4 or 6 of them like lined up, like 2 or 3 on each side, and this one just like while the others are all like paddling or whatever, he just kind of like sneaks this thing up and like taps this little cattail and the whole wall and the abutment of the bridge comes up, and then the barge is able to make a quick turn right into that wall.
Okay.
And once they enter, what's revealed is that there's actually like this whole secret channel with all these docks and everything that are accessed through this tunnel in the bridge. Do not question the engineering or the science or the design.
It's very advanced for
anything.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's not,
So imagine what it looks like now, like 30.
My God.
Almost. Oh God.
Feel like some James Bond shit.
Yeah. Amazing. And so when they get in there, the barge docks. And the gang, they're still creeping around, but they overhear the human-sized ghost of Katazuma getting off of the barge and saying that they only need to make, still not sure who that is yet, but the ghost of Katazuma is saying, we only need to make one more trip until all the treasure is ours. So they hear Katazuma giving this like weird cryptic, like, only one more trip until it's all the treasure is ours. And they decide at that moment, I think, like, all right, we've figured this out. Time to settle the score with Katazuma and with the stone statue. We're about to catch these guys in the act.
The clues are just that there's modern technology, and they're like, we know who has caused this modern technology.
That's it. That's
incredible police work. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
And also, again, they're not police.
Yes,
for better or worse.
Incredible work.
Yes, very good work. Investigation, police work, or whatever.
Something.
So they rummage through nearby cargo on the barge, and I guess like right off the barge on the docks to try to find some stuff to like scare them with, I guess, scare the ghost and the statue with, I guess like a costume of some sort. So they pull out a cloak, this giant cloak and an ancient mask, and they all get on each other's shoulders.
God damn it.
And like put all 5 of them, including Scooby, and they put the cloak on over them, and then whoever's on the top, I can't remember who it is now. I feel like it probably is Scooby.
Yes, it's definitely
Of course,
Scooby.
it would totally be Scooby. It's either Scooby or Shaggy on the very top. They're wearing the mask while the rest are covered by the cloak.
Okay.
And they like start like running towards the stone statue and the ghost of Katazuma, like and they're like chasing them and everything, because similarly to the Jekyll and Hyde episode, I guess they're like, oh my God, the ghost is real. Yeah, like this group of kids dressed up as the ghost is actually the ghost. And so they start chasing them around these hidden docks.
That is very skilled.
It is, right?
Some circus shit.
To make 2 criminals think that they're being chased by themselves.
Well, and that like they're not falling.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'm just thinking of them in the cloak.
And also, remember, they're underneath a bridge, so I don't know how tall it is.
And how long is this cloak? All right.
Yeah.
Go.
It's a cloak, I guess. It's a very big cloak.
Amazing.
And so eventually, after being like, wait a minute, that can't be the ghost of Katazuma.
I'm the ghost of Katazuma.
Exactly. And the creature, they like stop, like, wait a minute. And then they turn around and start chasing after the team instead. And so eventually the gang lures, throughout this chase, the gang lures the ghost and the stone creature into a trap using the very artifacts and the cargo materials that were hidden at the secret docks, essentially. And we now are finally at the point where they've got them and they can reveal who they are. So again, we'll go back through the clues, although we did just briefly. And I guess we'll go through the suspects as well. Clues first, though. Well, I guess we'll say that we've got a deserted town, and we've got giant footprints being left in random areas around the city. We've got big swaths of fog that aren't normal for the area. And then once you get to the pyramid, you have a modern projector, you have a vacuum cleaner that additionally lets out this weird fog-like substance. And you've got a secret entryway into a bridge. You've got a bunch of stolen artifacts, or artifacts that are at least being taken from the pyramid, it would appear, onto this phantom barge and being hidden in a bridge. And you have the ghost of Katazuma making claims like, we just need one more trip and then all of it will be ours. So again, our players in this episode are the creepy boat rental man, who we're actually never given a name for. He just shows up, does his weird creepy grin at the kids, sending them off into their hellish fate, and then disappears. We've got Senior Juan Martinez, the honest resort owner, who is honestly pretty troubled about the lack of business that they're going to get because of the ghost of Katazuma haunting the town and bankrupting his hotel. And then we obviously have the stone hacks, Professor and his wife Helena, who are there for an honest research trip and are honestly just trying to make it home safely at this point, and who really actually should have already made it home safely, or at least approached their ship, because it's long past the next morning when they told the kids that they would be making their safe escape and their safe exit. So would you like to guess? I'm sure you would like to guess. Please do. Who do you believe is dressed up as these horrible, horrible creatures?
So they have the ghost of Katazuma and the stone
And the stone statue, yes.
Okay.
So there are two separate ones.
Okay.
Which I realize now, I think both of the episodes I've done have had two different, yeah. Huh.
Okay, so I'm going to pitch what I want the answer to be, but I think my answer is only half correct.
Okay.
So I want it to be Helena and Senor Juan Martinez. And this is, she's trying to spook her husband because she wants to leave him in England. She saw Juan and she was like, I'm in love. And he was like, I'm into this British lady. And they're like, oh, but you're going bankrupt because of the festival situation going down. And you don't want to have this hotel anyways. We could make a quick buck on the side by having all of these jewels, a black market selling them. She already knows how it goes. She's been in the archaeology world for long enough. And so this is how they're going to make their fortune and retire in like Cabo together. I don't know how close that is to Cinco, Mexico, but maybe close enough.
I don't know how close anything is to Cinco, Mexico.
And that's how they're going to live the rest of their life together. And they did all of this to spook Mr. Professor Stonehack and leave him in the dust.
You know, I love it. I love it. If
that's my side plot.
If there were a modern retelling of Scooby-Doo shows or like a more modern incarnation, I would say rewrite the episode and make that the ending, make that the mystery being uncovered. You're 50% there. Okay. Well, okay, I'll say this. You're 25% there because you have one of the characters, but none of the plot.
All right, just tell me.
So yes, it was Helena, and her husband, Professor, who I guess his first name, by the way, is Professor because they don't give him like a Professor James Stonehack. It's just Professor Stonehack. So maybe he's actually not even a professor. His name is just Professor. Yeah, who says he's an archaeologist? I'm not sure. But yeah. It is both of the Stonehacks. Professor is dressed up as Katazuma, and Helena is dressed up as the stone statue.
She's got the harder job there.
She does. That shit, like Katazuma, he's wearing like this tribal gown. Yeah. He's got like a headdress on, so like the headdress might be a little heavy, but dude, a stone statue costume is, that's not easy to move around in. So anyway, they find that after all this time, it was those damn Brits who are out here trying to steal the artifacts away from this pyramid of Katazuma. So after they uncover who's behind the masks, though, while they're still at like that secret barge dock, they actually, instead of going to the authorities, instead of calling the authorities, they instead take everyone back to the hotel. And so while they're there, Juan Martinez, he joins them and he thanks them. Like, he's so gracious and so happy that they were able to solve the mystery and also apparently save local treasures from these criminals.
I mean, for real.
For real, though, because I don't think that these people knew, that the locals did not know that that the Stonehacks were stealing these treasures. Yeah. Like you only knew if you actually went into the pyramid and saw that they were all missing. So Fred, of course, putting all of this together, decides to unilaterally explain to Senor Martinez that the professor was very clever. He was using this gadget, which I'm going to assume had to do with the vacuum cleaner, to make clouds of fog. And then he would projecting film of himself in the Katazuma costume onto the fog out of that opening in the pyramid. To make it look like he was a 50-foot tall ghost. So he would just have his normal human form being recorded and reprojected out onto the fog. And so they didn't really explain how, but they did also say that the giant footprints were also proven to be phony and were just a way for the professor and Helena to try to scare people away from the town by making it seem like Katazuma was actually right here. And then, of course, meanwhile, while everyone was scared away, they robbed everything out of the pyramid and were essentially stealing cultural artifacts blindly just from Cinco with no regard it was so flagrant. Like, again, just carrying crates onto this barge.
Or like walking around with the masks in the hotel. Yeah. How was there electricity in this temple? The light switch, projector? Was there a generator maybe?
They don't explain.
Okay.
They don't explain, unfortunately, like how they wire the electricity in there.
Okay.
So similarly to them not explaining how they left the giant footprints, no explanation for how they were able to get electric running through that massive pyramid.
Yeah, let's say a generator out back somewhere.
Probably
like, some leaves
that they
on
didn't
it.
see.
Yeah.
Put like a tarp and some leaves and
Yeah.
flowers around it. Like, these kids, they don't pay attention to detail. They'll miss it.
Yeah, probably.
And so real quick here, just to kind of tie a bow on all of this, Daphne continued on to explain the criminal's plot to Juan Martinez, saying that they were able to smuggle the real jewels out through the fake headdresses. So those headdresses were fake, but they put real jewels inside of them. And then the bigger things they said they would come back for later. So that's like the stuff that you saw them carrying onto the barge, those big crates. Whereas the smaller jewels were like those encrusted jewels in the masks that Vilma pointed out, like, hey, those look pretty real to me. And they're like, no. The headdress is fake, which a partially true statement. Yeah, it's like, okay, so there is a little bit of truth to that. So they get the mystery sorted out. And of course, they are able to then celebrate the annual fiesta with the rest of the town. Everyone's happy and dancing. They've got music playing. Shaggy is obviously enjoying his spicy burritos. So that's the end.
Wow,
that's
great job.
And let me add, though, too, that we never see any police officers. We never see any customs agents. We never see anyone at all trying to come and arrest or apprehend the professor and his wife. It literally ends with them telling Juan Martinez what happened and then partying. That's
partying. I'm very concerned that like this was funded by Oxford or Cambridge and they still got all of the goods by like some, I don't know,
some technicality, some random,
wow, great job. That one was a roller coaster of,
wasn't it?
A lot of theatrics.
And this one, it's interesting because there really actually isn't a crime, at least not to their knowledge. The crime that they began to investigate was a party being canceled.
Essentially, if that's not a crime, I don't know what is.
Hey, I feel them like some true Americans, honestly. Because they at the point that they accepted investigating the mystery, they hadn't seen a giant ghost. I guess they saw what may have been a giant footprint, but no ghost or anything. So they were like, our party's canceled? Hell no, we gotta solve this shit.
I'm here to party.
Who should they tell about us
this week? If you have kids, you should tell their teacher at your next PTA meeting. I don't know when those are happening, but tell them.
I guess, are they still doing like Zoom PTA meetings? I don't know. Or did they? I'm assuming they started Zoom PTA. But you know what? If the PTA meetings are back in person and no longer over Zoom, then while you're at the PTA meeting, take a quick stop into your kids' cafeteria and tell the lunch lady too.
Oh, yes.
Or man, the lunch lady or the lunch gentleman.
Yes.
Tell them to give us a listen.
Yeah, and like also tell them thanks for feeding your kids every day for lunch.
Yeah, also very important. Unfortunately, for too many kids in America, the only consistent meals that they get each day or within a week is the meals that are served by their very humble school cafeteria workers. So we thank you for feeding the youth.
Yes, and we also thank you. Okay, this is the last tangent of this episode, and then we're gonna say goodbye. That because I was watching Chopped and they were having like lunch chefs on and stuff, and it was so great and awesome. They've done it a couple times, but I had this sudden recovered memory that I want to see if you also share from our high school of the woman who was like who worked like the cash register at our lunchroom, or maybe like sophomore year, and she broke up a fight that the juniors were having one day in the cafeteria. You remember that?
No.
It was like
keep going. I mean, maybe it'll trigger my memory. Or is that like all the story?
I don't remember like who in like that like the junior class were like going at it. Like I have maybe a few memories of maybe who. We won't say their names on air or anything, but like I think they were like about to full on like fist fight, and like she saw it because the cafeteria was so small, and she was like, there. I don't fucking think so, and like booked it over there and like pulled them off of each other. That happened once.
So lunch ladies, man,
like heroes.
Saving lives. Not only do they feed us, they save us.
Truly, like, yeah. There you go.
Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear aprons.
Exactly. Beautiful.
Actually, most heroes in my life wear aprons because I love food so damn much. But,
yeah. It's a front cape, actually. Back cape, front cape is an apron.
Exactly.
You wear your front cape.
Batman actually like wipes his food stains off on his cape as he's running around Gotham.
Yep, exactly. That would be a great like superhero alter ego. You just flip your apron to the back
and you're a chef.
Superhero time, or to the front, and then you're the chef again. All right, that's our next comic book, so watch out. And cool. Until then, we'll see y'all next week.
More Saturday morning mysteries.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.